Hello. Hello, this is Sashiko Stitching, live streaming. Come on. This is Atsushi. 2 o'clock. Wednesday, 2 o'clock. This is Sashiko time that I broadcast live streaming about my stitching. I hope you can get on the YouTube. I know, this is not the prime time for the US people, but this is the only time I can do. Just a second, I'll be online. I'll be watching my live as well, so just a second, okay? It should be on right now. I hope you're not looking at my face right now. Pretty slow. So today I will answer some of the questions you left, and then I will do another jeans stitching. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I will talk about it when I have time. Otherwise, I'm gonna do a little bit of explanation about the Kasane and answering some of the questions I received. I'll talk about the thread after that, and I'll talk about the quilting and Sashiko. I'm not a big professional about quilting, but I hope I can mention about that a little bit. Just a second, please. Right. Hola! I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish. Thank you so much for watching from Argentina. If you have any questions, I will do my best to translate from Spanish to... Not even Spanish, I don't know if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. Is it Portuguese? I'm sorry, like if I didn't understand correctly. Alright, I'll talk about the Kasane and pretty much answering the questions. Let me start over this video. So the question on the YouTube was that, what will I do when I have that loop? And why do I even have a loop there? The question is pretty simple. To avoid the tents on the stitching. If I am 100% sure that I'm not gonna make any tensed or like crammed stitching, I usually do not make any loops. But since this project was on the canvas fabric, and it was really hard to put the needle through, I made an extra loop to make sure that I smooth the fabric. I pull the fabric to lose the tension of the stitching. I will talk about what is the tension of the stitching, what I mean. So just a second, okay. So there we go. I will make the stitching here and I will explain what the tension I meant. So after you make several stitches, you have to smooth the fabric to lose the cramming, like a conjection, or like, I don't know how to say that in English. I should have googled that. Just a second. After you make... Come on! Hello. After we make several stitching, each stitches tend to be very tight. Thank you so much for watching from Spain. Hello. I wish I could speak the other languages besides English. So I would like to avoid that at the end of every stitching. And I always ask the workshop participant to smooth the fabric after the making stitching, but we kind of forget that. Especially when we do on this hard fabric such as denim or canvas, it is very difficult to completely smooth the fabric. So that's why I left a little tiny loop, even when we do the kasane, to avoid the risk of those tension. But again, that's unnecessary loop. If I work on the indigo dyed fabric, the fabric I got used to that, and then if I'm 100% sure that I don't need any tension risk factor, I don't really make loop. It's not necessary. The project I was working on the canvas fabric and the project I was working on the denim fabric, those are not necessary. Those are the project which you don't have to show the backside of the fabric all the time. However, if you work on something like this wall hanging or like door hanging, we call it noren in Japanese language, then like both fabric, single layer fabric. Single layer project, single layer fabric, so you have to make it both sides beautiful. In that case, you don't want to make the loop, or you don't want to make the, of course, not making the knot. So do kasane and avoid the loop. But when you avoid the loop, make sure, I have to make sure that too, make sure to smooth the fabric to lose any kind of tension between the fabric and thread. I do not like that much. Like I always prefer to have the loop, just in case. I'll restart that again. So I kind of charge triple price when I have to do kasane without any back fabric. So the point is, in recent society, most of the Sashiko project will have the back fabric or lining fabric. Either you make coasters, you make placemat, cushion cover, blanket, whatever you make, you will probably put the back fabric. So you don't have to even worry about doing kasane much. You can just make kasane from the beginning and then ending. You can jump in between. You can jump from the point A to point B, which I will explain next time since I didn't prepare that lecture. But the loop is for the risk factor, to avoid the risk of fabric being completely tensed by making so many stitching. We make like at least 10 stitches, 5 stitches, sometimes even 30 stitches at one time. So without pulling the fabric and thread appropriately, you will end up with having a lot of tensed, crammed stitching. The loop, little tiny loop on the back side of the kasane, was to avoid that. I did it because it was the canvas fabric. It was very hard, very difficult to pull through the needle. And I do that a lot on denim too because it's very difficult to pull through the needle. But when I am working on the indigo dyed cotton fabric, which I really get used to, I don't have to leave the loop. But sometimes I make sure that I pull the fabric, I smooth the fabric not to keep the tension. So the tension on the fabric and stitches, what I meant is this. Oh, I think I can fit that. Just a second. Yep, here. I'm sorry, I could fit. Okay. So this is this little tiny, the stitch I made here. Without smoothing the fabric, it gets really tension. And without making loop, and if I keep making stitches ahead, the part of the fabric might be tensed like that. And this is something we really would like to avoid. So this is the reason we made a loop a little bit on the back side of this really difficult canvas fabric. However, again, as I said, it is not necessary if we know for sure that we will smooth the fabric, and if you're gonna use the single layer fabric on both sides, such as the door hanger, like a carry door hanger, we call it noren. So that's the one. I hope I answered the question, why do I make the loop? Again, if you're perfectly fine with smoothing a fabric, you don't need it. So this is the example of single layer Sashiko product, both sides as the finished side. Well, there's a front side and back side, but we intended to make this product to make both side as the finished side. I hope this makes sense. I hope. I will move to the next question after this about thread. I get a lot of questions, what kind of thread do I use? The answer is pretty simple. The thread we use is from one thread manufacturer, long established thread manufacturer in Japan called Koron. And that's the only thread we use for the Sashiko stitching. Reason? It's simply good. It's simply the best. We've tried several products, but we believe that this is the best stitching, best Sashiko thread in the market. So this is the kind of prepackaged one. The colors on the background is the natural dye Sashiko thread, which my mother dyed in Japan by hand. And then I'm going to talk about the thread a little bit here. So this is the Sashiko thread we use. This is the white. It's bright white. And so there are a lot of questions like, can I use this thread for the Sashiko project? Can I use that thread? Can I use that frost? Can I use that? The answer is yes, you can. You may use any kind of thread. But in order to have a good result, I really strongly recommend to use the best thread available in the market, and this is, I think, the best, like in my opinion, as the Sashiko artist. And like, let me define what the best is. The best means that you will not feel stressful when you pull the needle, like through the making stitches. The result of the stitching will not fray by itself. Some thread do. And thread is strong enough to keep stitching. Some thread breaks in the middle of stitching, and that is super frustrating. So at the same time, this thread has 6 embroidery floss twisted in a very unique way. This is designed for Sashiko stitching. So when you use this thread, you will see that I again forgot to fit the screen. You will see that the stitching is kind of pockly. It's nicely rich. So that's the reason we use that, like mainly like we have to spend a lot of time in Sashiko stitching. Sometimes 10 hours, sometimes 20 hours. If we're gonna spend that much time on that one project, it is very important. It is very important to get a good result. And the price difference is like a few dollars, I guess. Some thread is like $3 for 20 meters, but this thread, the skein I'm explaining right now, is 145 meters, about 150 meters, so it's pretty long. Once you get one skein, it's gonna be good for like a few projects. If you finish this much thread in one project, let me know. Like, I might give you some job to do. So the thread, again, like you can use any kinds of you can use any kind of thread. Yarn is great, any kind of like wool, but everything I explain here, everything I explain on the YouTube with tutorials, is based on the fact that you're using this thread. So I'll do it again. Some of the technique I explain, kasane, jumping, even like making even stitches, might not be happening or applicable to your stitching if you do not use the same thread. There was a little question like, I'm using this thread, but it doesn't work like I'm using, like he was, I mean, sorry, that was she. She was using the, I think, silk thread to make Sashiko stitching, and she was trying to do the kasane. She kept saying it doesn't work. Like, there gotta be the other technique to make kasane working. The answer is, since you're using the silk, some of the thread have wax around it, like too much wax around it. In that case, the thread is too slippery to make kasane. You have to make the knot. So Just listen to what the professional saying. It is, I'm not gonna let you down. And again, if you get our thread from our website, and then if you get a problem, if you cannot make the result as I explain on this video, I will explain until you can do that. I mean, there's not many like hidden tutorials. As long as you're using the thread, you should be able to do Kasane without any problems. But if you like, it's fair enough, right? If you're using completely different kind of thread, I cannot guarantee the result. It is again good thread, very strong, very not thick, but very the result will be rich enough to make a good Sashiko stitches. The previous Asano patterns, that's of course from this thread too. I do ship worldwide too. Thank you so much for the question. Yes, we do have a better shipping rate from Japan, so I will make a shipment from Japan. So just there should be a link from my website to the international buyers or something. So just go to that, and or yeah, that's probably the best way to do that. There should be a flat rate shipping, like $12 or something. But we do ship worldwide. These are the colors which my mother Keiko had dyed. Some of the colors are not online yet because they get sold out like this. And I've got these several colors this time in stock. And there gotta be some thread left on the website too. So please take a look. Those are very beautiful. Those colors are, we have indigo, natural indigo dyed, natural kakishibu, which is the persimmon tannin dye, and also a lot of like the other flowers like Western Matters and like log wood. Yeah, like that. All right, the last question I got was about the quilting. And although I do have a workshop, I do offer the workshop to the Quilting Guild, I'm not a big practitioner on quilting. I know the basic of quilting, but here's my answer for the questions. So the question was, what kind, like, can I talk through about the quilting with Sashiko, and what kind of materials and patterns do I like to use? I do love to use the Japanese symmetric patterns, geometric patterns. The Asanoha patterns I showed in the first video is one of the example of the Japanese geometric pattern. There are a lot of patterns like that. You can purchase the patterns from my website too, and I sometimes give away some of those patterns. Those are very Japanese like, and this is very traditional Sashiko, so I prefer that. I don't know how those Japanese geometric pattern can be combined with the contemporary quilting, but that's what I really like to use. There are a lot of like a picture patterns, like Sashiko can be done with the pictures, but I kind of prefer the geometric patterns. And for 2018, or even like half period of 2018, I will do Asanoha patterns 90% of my work. I'm kind of tired of Asanoha patterns, but as the business kind of marketing wise, I kind of want to keep enforcing the viewers that I do Asanoha all the time. So when they see Asanoha, they think of me. Well, another reason I do Asanoha only is that it's going to take a lot of time to explain the different patterns. So when I clear all of the tasks and projects and back orders I have cleared, I will start talking about different topic. So the video you're seeing right now is that the borrow. Just a second. I'll just answer the questions first. Thank you so much for all the questions. The cause is starting. Thank you. I'd like to know if it is a very resistant thread. I will talk about that with the actual camera. It is pretty resistant. Well, resistant to the water or resistant to the like a pulling. I will show you that. It is pretty strong. Sure, you. Another question. You have done it, but you could explain to me how to push the needle to make the stitches faster. For that, I will not do it on this video because I have so many archives. And also start and finish, so we do not have a knot. For the question to Alchemy, I have a lot of video archived about it, how to use the knot, how to use the thimble, how to use needle, how to do the Japanese running stitch, and how to make a star, how to not to make a knot. Like there's even like a tutorial. The title is how to not to make a knot. So please watch that. I don't want to just redo it every time I become online. Okay, so the last. Thank you for the comments, though. I will do. So, and in my understanding, when you do the quilting, there's a front fabric and there's a cushion form or like cushion thing, right? And then back fabric. They make a stitching simultaneously holding the all layers. Correct me if I'm misunderstanding. And this is the borrow, and without cushion form, this is kind of quilting too, I guess. So this is the several layers already layered, and we make a stitching over that. Since it's borrow, we do not make any patterns on top of the fabric. But if you put the like a nicer fabric, like fresher fabric, not a vintage one, and then draw the patterns on it or transfer the pattern on that, and then if you make the stitching with the quilting form inside and with the back fabric, I think you can collaborate the Sashiko and quilting. I have a pretty this year 2018 I started offering the workshop to the quilting guild, so one day I can probably collaborate one of those quilting professionals. There are a lot of quilting professionals in my community right now, so I would like to collaborate with them so I can probably explain more. Bedding, there we go. Thank you. Not a cushion form. I want to use the thread to the book binding too. Book binding should be enough. All right, I'll move to the actual video. It's better, right? Is it better? It's a cheat. Is it better? Oh, there was a camera. No. Hello! Wow, it's so worldwide. So I gotta do my jeans stuff. Is it better? I'm sorry, I'm gonna talk about the thread. So this is, for example, the white thread we use. It's not really strong. I'm sorry. Nah, it's probably not that strong. Yeah, you can kind of break it with hand, so might not be a good idea. I don't know. I want you to use the book binding. I have not. Do I have any customers who use that book binding? If you double thread it, you might be able to use that. I'm pretty strong guy, so that might be the reason for that. And there's a lot of tutorials on my channel at this time. There's the tutorials about how to not to make a knot, how to make a running stitch, how to use this thimble, how to use needle, blah blah blah. So please watch those tutorials, and then if you have any further questions, please leave the comments. So I'm happy to explain that again and again. But I guess I'm prepared. I'm working so hard to prepare the online workshop, which I will teach you like from 1 to 100. I mean 0 to 1 and 1 to 100 to make Sashiko stitching, and that includes how to use the thimble and needle. I will watch you through the camera, and I will make sure that you understand perfectly, because it's kind of difficult to show it too. Okay, let me. I have a lot of back orders, so I kind of have to work hard. Like, as much as I want to make, like, I want to keep making tutorials, but at the same time I have to keep the orders done. Yes, thank you so much for watching. I'm so glad that we can have like a little community over internet. That is so fascinating. That's perfect. And Sashiko, I don't know if you heard this explanation, but Sashiko was a very ordinary job for Japanese people 200 years ago, 300 years ago. Pretty much every female performed the Sashiko if the family was poor. You kind of like a necessary skill to be a wife. It was not. Unlike the other Japanese traditions or art, it was never, it was not the work of man. Interestingly, I'm doing as a man because I was born in a Sashiko family, and the family tried to make this as the kind of traditional Japanese art. But since it was very ordinary work, there's no such a thing as the kind of textbook or the archive or documents to explain, there we go, A to Z of Sashiko. There's not. We cannot. I mean, at least I do not know any one of those. There are tons of kinds of Sashiko in Japan, many kinds of Sashiko in Japan, and they have different not a technique, but different patterns, different concepts, and stuff like that. Can I show us some of your back orders as you work on them? Sure. I had shipped the. I gotta go. That's a very good question. I do have it on my Instagram all the way. I just meant the jeans. Oh, there we go. Okay. My job, not a job, but my orders are more like mending and repairing with using Sashiko technique. I do not make much of boro or Sashiko fabric, Sashiko product items much. My mother is more like making more products to sell, but I'm more like focusing on the mending for the people. This is one of the sample I made with my favorite jeans. So using the patchwork of using the Japanese vintage fabric, small fragment of vintage fabric, and made the patchwork, and then made Sashiko and patched it on the jeans. So this is the work I made like probably a year ago or something. And that's one example. And the Sashiko item we make is not many, but oh, there we go. This one is good. This one is from my mom. My mother made this, and we are launching this. I mean, selling this cushion cover with the Sashiko stitching. I said that I don't like I prefer the geometric patterns, but that's my mom. I like this one better. It's quite big, but I think it's 24-inch square. It's not that difficult. It takes a lot of time, but once you get it, it's really not that difficult. So I hope you can just, start working on your stuff. Oh, probably this one will probably be a good one. This is like my past work, but like coasters like that. I do even have not a website, tutorials on the YouTube how to make a coaster. I made this coaster with the indigo fabric and back fabric on the YouTube. It would not be a good quality because I didn't have a camera back then. I used the other camera, so it might not be the best quality or best organized video, but I do have a website how to make those. I do not sell the kit to make these because it takes a lot of, again, it takes a lot of time for me to prepare the kit, but it's not that difficult to get those like front fabric and back fabric and interface. If you really want me to get one of those fabric, I can do that, so just contact me too. The purse. What is inside that perfume? It's not a purse, it's a pillowcase. It's like a cushion. Inside of the cushion, there's insert in it. Like fluffy thing. And then like I gotta work on this stuff. Yeah. Pillowcase my mother made. Pillow insert I purchased from Etsy. I did not. We do not make the pillow insert, but pillowcase is from Japan. My mother is a genius. I really want you to follow my mother's work in the Instagram. She is one genius. Purse. Tag. It had a bag on it? Oh! You mean this one? This one is a stitching. It's a stitching. It's not actual bag. And I don't know what do you mean by inside of this purse. I'm sorry, I'm not understanding your question much. So the question was, what is inside of that? What is inside that purse? Well, traditionally, that bag is for the treasures. Japanese rice bag. Not right. Well, we call it Japanese rice bag. People put some really treasury thing, like precious thing inside of that. Come on. It is a joke. I am sorry I didn't get that. It's so difficult. Did I mention that I'm Japanese? To communicate to Japanese with joke is one of the most difficult thing in the world. And that's a joke. But not really a joke. It is very difficult to. It is a different sense of humor that's kind of difficult. But I'm really happy. I'm really glad that we're communicating over humor. It's very important. And Susan from Arizona mentioned, like, I want this live streaming as the opportunity of two things. One, to answer the questions and provide small tutorials. Two, to kind of stitch together. Like, I don't want you to just watch this live and do nothing. I just want you to do the Sashiko with me over the internet. I mean, you might be from Spain, Argentina, US, Arizona, Japan, anywhere. I want to just make this opportunity as like the time. It's like a salon to stitch together, yet you just stay in the house and open the YouTube. But we want to do that, and probably along the way to do the Sashiko stitching, you will come across a lot of questions, and I'd like to answer that as much as I can. So every Wednesday to let's say 3 or 3:30, it would be great if you can just hold the needle and fabric and make Sashiko stitching to kind of relax and meditate. I do Sashiko to calm myself down too, so I hope that makes sense. So this is an example of making the loop. I keep this loop here so that so that I can miss this smoothing the fabric. I always do the smoothing the fabric, but sometimes denim is a little bit difficult to smooth the fabric, so make sure that you keep smoothing it. It's gonna be very it's not straight. And the tip to be a good Sashiko practitioner, good Sashiko artist, is to not to be perfectionist. Not to be perfectionist. I am a perfectionist, so I understand how you feel, but try to not to be perfectionist. When I get stuck with one stitch, I will not make the project done. As long as the project is not done, you don't move to the next project, right? So the more you make stitches, the faster it gets, the more beautiful it is. So there's a beauty in the imperfectionism. Like if you want to make like 100% perfect stitches, you can use the machine or programming to do that. That's not the purpose of this. So if you can, just keep making it. Your daughter wants to you're watching with your daughter? Reverse? You mean kasane? Reverse. Reverse as kas. We do not make reverse unless it's the beginning or the end of stitching. I do not understand the reverse. Okay. Sure. Can I just finish this stitching? It's gonna take another 5 minutes or so. Then I can show that the other side. Just, is that okay? Can you wait that much? Or if you cannot wait, just say it. This much. So it's gonna be soon. But the pattern is not done yet. Sorry, the English is really difficult for me yet, so. But thanks to Suzy, I am doing this. I thought there's not need for the English live stitching because many viewers, non-Japanese, would like to get tutorials. They want to get the answers like this. I understand that. I'm like that too. But what I want to do is to share the fun of doing Sashiko, so I thought it was not a good idea to do live streaming because I'm pretty much doing stitching instead of explaining what's going on. I have enough materials to understand what I'm doing right now, but it's not like answering the question every minute. I'm not that nice. I want to be as on demand as possible, but I'm not that nice, so please go to these archives. So I also want to finish the project too, so I thought there's no need for me to do the stitching and talk about small things, which sometimes is not really related to the Sashiko stitching. But Suji told me that there's a need for that, so I'm happy for it. I got it. I got the reverse side, I mean the front side. Just a second, let me finish this stitching. And smooth the fabric. There we go. Esther, I think you can get that now. So this will be the Asunho patterns. Like that. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna affect the camera. So this is one of the sample I am making, that the sample to get the my mending work. So I think this is not the side. This is the front side. And I made this kind of patch when there's a hole. And I think I was working on this side right now. So here we go. This is the side right now I was working on. And I stopped here right now. And this jeans is really stretchy. That's another reason that I have to keep the loop so I can adjust it after I washed it. There's a little the stitching for the holes I got. Like that. I hope it made sense. Thank you. Looks beautiful, as well as it gets stronger. I think this jeans will be a piece of garbage if I didn't do any stitching. I mean, I don't want to wear the jeans which has hole here, right? It's pretty bad to wear this with, like, let's say, look, you have to show the underwear. It's pretty not good. It's not good. So I keep mending, and so that I can wear that again. And if I wear that again, I can mend more. So that's the basic concept of Sashiko. They didn't have enough materials to replace the clothes. Like right now, I can just go and get the new jeans, which fit me. But I loved this jeans, and I wanted to keep wearing that. So I'm just following the Sashiko concept and then trying to make that. And the ultimate result of this repetition of Sashiko stitching and mending is called borrow, in my understanding. It's not only the patchwork, it's the patchwork with the purpose of strengthening the fabric and then recycling, upcycling, and repurposing. And I hope that I can. And if everybody's still doing that, that's pretty cool too. So along methodology. I like that word too. The fabric with the Sashiko stitching is very, very strong, very, very durable. Not as strong, durable. You can wear that 10 years, probably more than 10 years. And the good part of that is that since you know how to make it, you can just fix it. Fix it in a minute. Not in a minute, but you don't have to get a new. You just need a needle and thread to do that. Come on. Alright. There we go. The thread does not shrink. The thread does not shrink, and thread will not get any color from like indigo dye or the other natural dye. It will stay the same color unless it's the thread itself is dyed with natural dye. Thread will not shrink, but fabric might. So make sure that before you cut the thread, like leftovers, make sure that you wash it first, so you will not have like a sad result of missing a stitch or pockly stitching like that. Thread will not, well, shrink. As long as I know there was no complaint that thread got shrinked after washing. Ah, 失敗した。ちょっと待ってください。I just spent 2 months to fix. Well, I didn't spend like literally 2 months, but I got ordered at the end of the November, I think, or even October. And then I completed that project and mail it back to the customer a few weeks ago. Not even a week ago. So please check the Instagram account for our work. It really helps. Like, Instagram will tell you what I and my mother do with Sashiko. I also like the part half finished. You do? That's good. I try to, yeah, that's all good. It's really interesting that you said you like the half finished part. In my understanding, there's no such a thing as finished work. Like for example, this kind of borrow. Where did it go? The borrow I showed, like this kind of borrow. It is finished work in our standard, at least in my standard. But my mother keeps saying like, can I do more? Like I feel a little. And if I use that fabric, then it's gonna get damaged again. Then again, we have to do that. So there's no such a thing as the end of work, which is the beauty of Sashiko stitching. And with using the technique, as Susie commented right now here, you can do pretty much anything. You can use the denim to make the, like bag or aprons or... So instead of just throwing them away, with a little hint of stitching, a little bit of time, you can do a lot of things. Like, for example, like I talked about the thread. If I make this Sashiko stitching on four side, like 2 legs, both front and back, then probably I may use up all the 1 skein of thread. But I believe that I don't need 2 skeins of thread to do that. So that's how thread can be long. This thread is really long. Why does it say like a message retracted? What does it mean that? Let me check that. Message. Why does message get? Oh. 撤回. Okay. Is the live okay? Do I have to change like a... Is the image a little blurry, or... This is still my like initial live streaming, so please let me know if there's anything I can improve in terms of everything, actually, like camera, voice, contents. The amount of humor I make. See, like, the reason I kind of preferred past tense, I prefer the Japanese live streaming, is that I could make a lot of joke in Japanese. So it was really more like fun. And I want to make it fun here too, so I don't know how to make fun. Like, it's really... I think each culture has different humors, so it's a little bit difficult to make universal humor. Especially I married to Jewish person, so... And I don't want to offend anybody too. Just want to make sure that I do. Again, this Sashiko is Sashiko is our good way to calm yourself, like a meditation. So just enjoy the stitching in the quiet time. With my live streaming, it's not gonna be a quiet time because I keep talking. But make a stitching on your project. You don't have to even watch the screen, because I'm not doing anything special. I will tell you when I do something special. So just leave it on. Listen to this like a radio, like a stitching. I wanted to write arigato, but I couldn't find hiragana. Oh, thank you so much for respecting Japanese. Barbara, thank you so much. See you next Wednesday, or come back for the archives. Thank you. Please put the link in the description to your Instagram page in this video description. Do I need an Instagram account to view? I think so. I don't know if I will put the link to this video to the Instagram. It's the Instagram and sashi.co, the same account. I don't have that many photos like the others, but it's really easy to post the photos there. So I think it's sashi. Yeah, it's sashi.co. Like if you Google with Instagram sashi.co, you'll find my account with the borrow photos. I talked a little bit a lot, so just a little break. A video is acceptable? Okay. Sometimes it is better not to know these things. What does that mean? I am myself all the time. Ah, that's a good point. Yeah. What is better to not to know? There's a little bit of delay, I guess, in the live streaming, so I might not catch that. I will stop. I will do another 30 minutes of live streaming, and then that's it for today. As I promised, I will do it until 3:30. Let me know if there's any questions I can answer. For those like technique-wise question, I kind of want to keep doing this stitching right now, so I will give you the link of my archives to the Kasane, or like how to use needle and stuff like that. How do you guys know Sashiko, by the way, though? Like Suzy is half Japanese, so she probably found the Sashiko from some family history, or like she probably is surrounded by Japanese culture. But how was the others? Like, I'm kind of surprised. I came back to the Sashiko field after college, after working in Tokyo for several years. That was in 2008 or 9. And in 2011 or 10 and 11, I did the first overseas foreign workshop in Netherlands, thanks to the Japanese, like local Japanese, who helped me to set up everything. But that's the kind of and then Australia was very in a big wave of Sashiko back then. I don't know about now much, but not in the US so often. Of course, it was getting more popular year by year, but I just wonder why it is so popular in these years. I hear that pretty much everywhere. My family has about 40 years of actual business company history, but this might be the first kind of like actual boomish thing. What is my favorite tea? What is my favorite tea? You might expect me to say the green tea or roasted green tea, hojicha or anything. I like Earl Grey. I stopped drinking coffee, I stopped drinking alcohol, I stopped smoking, No gambling anymore. I think only thing I do is just the drinking tea, which caffeine include caffeine. My favorite tea is all grey. Yeah, like any kind of question is good. Like that's actually good. Yeah, any kind of question is good. Share where you're from. Share what that. This is I want to make this live streaming as like a community instead of me teaching you things. Like if I make it like teaching things, like nah. I don't want to make like student who doesn't follow and get stressed out. Again, Sashiko, there's no right or wrong in Sashiko. I keep saying this because I want to tell this so much. There's no right or wrong Sashiko. Like, if you make slow stitches, that's perfectly fine. You make better stitching than the others. If you make fast stitch, that's fine. You can make a lot of things. So, I don't want to make it like a comparison. So, here, at least in this live streaming, with the little tutorials, I want to make it like very much the community. Oh, I forgot that. I'm sorry. You said something about the message behind the redirected. Yeah, it was from the somebody who tried to wrote. I'm sorry, I forgot. It was from Barbara, who tried to wrote down the comment in Japanese and couldn't find the comment. I mean the Japanese character. Right now, 7 people watching this, so that's interesting. Like 7 people in the world are sharing the interest in Sashiko, and hopefully those 7 viewers are stitching too, and that's kind of fun. Really, there's a huge Sashiko exhibit at the Phoenix Art. I would like to go there then. Is it like seasonal or just regular exhibit? Arizona is a little bit far. Not little bit, pretty far. Yeah, I plan to have like a small Sashiko exhibit in New York, collaborating my mother's work. Again, my mother's. It's kind of not Japanese culture to say something good about the family member, but I really believe that my mother is the genius in Sashiko. She's not good at anything else, but in Sashiko, she's just a genius. I mean, not the Sashiko stitching itself, but making Sashiko item, collaborating the vintage fabric and her designing. I don't think I can reach that level when I'm that age. I might do better job in actual stitching, but she's super artistic in making the product. So I want to just show her work in US or anywhere in the world. She's having the small exhibition with her with the project she teaches in March. Actually, today's March. No, in the March in Gifu Prefecture and in May in Tokyo. That takes a lot of time and effort, and of course money, to make the exhibition happen in the US. So I believe our work, including my mother's work, is museum materials. At the same time, Sashiko work in the museum is a little bit contradict to the Sashiko concept. Sashiko is the beauty in the daily life, in the ordinary life. So when you use the Sashiko fabric or Sashiko items, that gets much more beautiful. So I rather, well, if it's the tapestry, it's perfectly fine to be on the wall. But if it's a jacket, I want people to wear that instead of hanging on the museum. I think that presents the actual beauty of Sashiko. Tea is good. Tea is good. I get a little quiet. So if you have any questions, please answer. No, not answer. Please ask me. I will take those questions and then make a little tiny tutorials or explanation presentation, small presentation next time. Next week I'm online. So if you ask me the question regarding Sashiko, I will make sure to answer that next time. Even like those requests to make Kasane or something, I can do that next time. So feel free to ask, feel free to comment. Sashiko has a rhythm, always. You know, everybody who learn how to do Sashiko and get used to those stitching, they make a rhythm, really own good rhythm. And for example, right now I'm in the rhythm, so I just don't want to ruin this rhythm much. When I'm in the rhythm, on the rhythm, with the rhythm, I can make better even stitches, faster movement. It says that I have to check the. I'll make sure that I can do it next time. I hope that the video is not that bad. Like it's not blurry or something. I'll be offline in 20 minutes or so. Let me summarize today's live streaming. I answered the questions on the YouTube comments. There was a question about Kasane and the loop on the back side of the fabric. Ideally, we do not make the Kasane. We do not leave the loop. But when we work on something very unusual, such as canvas or denim, I think it is a good idea to leave some loops so that we can avoid the risk of making fabric tensed or loose. Actually, loose is another risk too. So if that's the project of hiding the back side of the fabric, which not showing the back side of the fabric, it is it is okay to leave some loop to avoid those risks. If you're working on the both side project, if you have to use the both side of the finished side, then make sure to have a good kasane with very good process of smoothing the fabric, so your thread and fabric will not be puckly or tight or tensioned. And that was the first thing I talked about in the beginning of the tutorial. And the second one is what kind of thread I use. There's a lot of question about Sashiko thread. We use only one thread from one manufacturer, Japan. So I talked about that. There's a website that you can purchase our Sashiko thread. We ship worldwide, so it doesn't have to be in the US. And the last thing is about the quilting. I have to make a little bit of research about it, so I just took the basic understanding of my quilt, the basic understanding of the quilting, but it is doable. It is possible for sure. I will follow up that. I'll follow up the question. Do you wear those? Yeah, of course. It is just that I have never seen anyone wearing any Sashiko clothes. Not yet, I guess, but I do that in the New York a lot. I do it. I even have a Boro jacket. I do have the photo. I might have that somewhere. Nope. No. I will come back to that. I will take a memo for that. I will show the Boro jacket I have, and I wear that pretty much every day outside when I work outside. When I drive, it's kind of bulky, so I don't wear that, but the Boro jacket. So when I do the workshop in New York, I wear that. It's pretty good. I mean, I think it's in New York, so New York people wear whatever they want, so I'm not that standing out. And any clothes with, yeah, but it might be. There are a lot of people who is doing the Sashiko mending right now, so you'll probably see. And how is my daughter? I'll talk about that. Do I give the same tutorials on the Japanese live streaming as the English, or should I be watching both? I do not give any tutorials on Instagram. I really don't. Wow, that's kind of surprising, but I really do not make any tutorials. Are do I? We just talk about like in Japanese. I don't know if you should watch it. We talk completely different things. So this live streaming is not the redoing this Japanese live streaming. In Japanese live stream, in the Instagram live streaming in Japanese, I talk kind of why I'm doing Sashiko, or is the culture should be something we leave, or something left in 2018 is we call it culture. It is even very difficult to explain in English. So it is kind of a different. Oh my gosh, I show my face a lot. It's okay. There's a lot of like my glasses are on the. Oh, that's not my. Oh, it's okay. So I think the focus is as good as you are getting. It is very precisely. So I hope that people start wearing the Sashiko clothes, because it's we don't do this for displaying these jeans on the wall. What's the point of doing that? So and I really do. Yeah, I wish I could translate everything I talk in the Japanese one, but I will try to do the English live streaming every Wednesday at 2 p.m. or as necessary. Whenever, like, if there's any request that somebody wants to listen to that, several, but I kind of have to work too, so whenever I can. But I try to be here on Wednesday 2 p.m. every Wednesday 2 p.m. Eastern time, New York time, unless my daughter is not sick at home. And my daughter is doing fine this week. I mean, she's about to be 3 this month in March. So she's a bit difficult, but everything else is fine. She's very interested in thread. When I decided to do the Sashiko stitching in front of her, I was planning to do it when she turned 3. Before 3 is a little too scary to have the needle around her, but right now I think she's okay to have the needle around. I mean, to see the needle around, so I kind of do it in front of her. She's interested in thread, not needle at all, or whatever I'm doing. She's not interested in Sashiko, just thread is fascinating. Like, she's like a cat. And I do the Sashiko live streaming again next week on Wednesday I might do it again, I don't know. Whenever I have time and whenever I have it. I might do it before that, but I try to be as stable, as periodical, predictable as possible. So I'm not gonna just throw I might. If this like just stitching is okay, I can do it every single day because I do it every single day. If it's the matter of just stitching, I can really do it every day because I have to do it. I cannot find my scissors. Where's the scissors? But it's I would like to be somewhat enjoyable, so I would like to prepare some video to explain what's going on, or tutorials. So that's the reason I cannot do it every day. But if this is the matter of just live streaming my work over this camera, every day, like as long as I don't have like a order to make a shipment, or the end of the month is a little difficult because I have to make like a little bit of admin work. But pretty much I can do it every day if I make a stitching like that. In fact, I was doing it every day when I started live streaming on Instagram, since it was kind of too fun. And I kind of destroyed my lifestyle, so I have to be careful though. Live streaming with a good audience, like good commenting and good vibe, atmosphere, is pretty addictive. So, like, I feel like I have to be online no matter what. Then I started stopping cooking, and that was not good, so I have to avoid that. But as long as I can control the other, as long as I can complete the other task I have in my life, I can be online. And again, like I have to finish the jeans project to move on to the next step. And as you can see, this takes a lot of time. I'm estimating about 20 hours to finish both sides of this jeans. So no matter how fast I can stitch, it is hand stitching after all. So it takes a lot of time. But that's why it's precious, that's why it's beautiful, I think. God, I gotta watch more stand-up comedy or something. It's really challenging to make a good joke. I don't know if the stand-up comedy is the applicable one or appropriate one. But again, like, it kind of contradicts what I said, but this community, this live stream, I want this live streaming to be the kind of time salon for you to make a stitch. As much as I want to make some tutorials or like session or lecture or whatever, I want to make a time for you to make a stitch with listening to, would have me available next to you, online, to answer some of the questions. I might not answer the question right away, but I can answer that next time. So it's kind of nice to connect to somebody else to make stitches. So I just want to make that time. The Japanese stream is not about the community, more like philosophy, culture. Well, of course, there's like a question about the technique, so I sometimes mention that. But most of the viewers knows what Sashiko is, and they actually do Sashiko. So some of them are better than me. I mean, some of them are more skilled than me. Some of them are more knowledgeable. I sometimes ask questions to the viewers, and we talk about how sad it is that not many young kids, I mean, I'm not that old, but young generation do not know how to make this stitching. Technically speaking, not technically, I think every Japanese used to be able to do this. Every Japanese female used to be able to do this 100 years ago, 20 years ago, because they had to do it. But nowadays, not much. Do I think I will have this time week? Probably yes. I have to finish this jeans as soon as possible, so I might be online either tomorrow afternoon around this time. No, not tomorrow afternoon. Either Thursday afternoon, Friday afternoon, Monday afternoon. Like, it's gonna be around this time. So afternoon 2 p.m. is kind of my time, so it is possible to be online. But I'll be just doing stitching. I'm not gonna prepare anything for the next time. But I can. Tomorrow. Let me check my schedule. Should be okay. It's just 1 hour or so it should be okay. I can. Okay, like it's gonna be just stitching them. Well, for that matter, I can be online pretty much every day if that's the needs. Okay, I will finish the stitching, live streaming within 5 minutes. Thank you so much for watching today again. I appreciate your time. I hope we can all stitch together at your place. At everybody's place over internet. That's kind of interesting community to make. Please try to watch another archives about the techniques. I have some tutorials about how to make this running stitch, kasane, even what is kasane, how to make knot to knot. If I live stream it, will make so as well. I'm sorry, I didn't get that part. If I live streaming it, it will make so. Cooking? I don't have a good kitchen to live stream cooking. I do cooking. I cook every day for the family, so it requires some equipment. And my cooking is more not organized. I don't have recipe. I just cook out of my brain, so. How many soy sauce? I have no idea. This much. But yeah, I have some friends who is interested in my recipes, so I probably should try my best. But I don't have time for that. Like, writing down the recipe is so time consuming. Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, let's sew it together, Susie. I'll live streaming so you can make a stitch. Or you can sew your project. But yeah, my goal, my dream is to have a studio for the Sashiko stitching. And possibly, yeah, that studio can have a kitchen and I can live stream that. That'd be great too. Yeah, my daughter loves my Japanese cooking, so that's a good way to connect her to Japanese culture. Right, I gotta finish it soon. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave the comment on the live streaming or any other videos I upload. I will make a live streaming again next Wednesday at 2 p.m. About hour and a half to answer those questions. I might be online before that to just share the stitching time. Possibly tomorrow. Thank you. Come back. Let's have fun together. Yeah, my goal is to share what Sashiko is so everybody in the world can do Sashiko. It is not only my technique, it's not a technique I should hide from somebody. This is just the wisdom from the Japanese a few hundred years ago, so I don't want to just hide it, or I just don't want to use it to make. I don't want to make a pattern about it on that. There's no way to make a pattern, but I like to live on that, so there's a workshop fee or such. But since there's a good YouTube, which doesn't cost anything, it's good to share what I do. So this is so far. Is it pretty good? Do you see the difference from the hour ago? Not much, right? It takes so long. But we keep doing that until we finish the beautiful result. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next Wednesday and possibly before that. Bye bye. I would like to say bye bye, but there we go. All right. Thank you. Have a good day and have a good week.